my dad had to rush out with me to go see what was wrong with her. So before we even got to her house, she was already giving up the ghost,
I sleepwalked, went to where my dad was sleeping, brought out my intanta and peed on my dad.
But I was taken away to my grandmom because at that point she was just a lonely woman with no one to stay.
Furthermore, I remember clearly the aroma of my grandmother's egusi soup because egusi soup was my favorite. It's still my favorite soup then.
Hello and welcome back to Talk Time with Ebo. I am Emmanuel Ebo. Here I show you bits of my culture. We talk about lifestyle, we talk about politics, and we talk about all the issues that concern us as Africans and as Nigerians. On today's episode, I walk into streets and houses and I ask people to tell us what they remember most about their childhood. Some of these stories are amusing, some are saddening, while some are quite interesting. And I do hope you enjoy this episode. Let's go.
My childhood was quite boring. It was eventful, but none of the stories seemed to be interesting. But I think there's this one. So one night I was asleep and next thing I know, I woke up and I was crying. I didn't know what happened, but it felt like something hit me. So I started crying. I was walking up and down looking for my mom to know if she has any idea what happened to me, or to tell her I just woke up and started crying and I don't know what happened. When I finally found my mom, she consoled me because I was crying, and when I asked her she consoled me and told me to go to bed. Then the next morning, I remembered I was crying at night, and then I asked her why I was crying. She then told me what happened to me. Turns out that while I was asleep, I felt pressed, so I woke up, or should I say I sleepwalked, went to where my dad was sleeping, brought out my intanta and peed on my dad. So he woke up, saw me peeing, and blessed me with a slap. So since I wasn't really conscious of myself, I wasn't really conscious at that moment, I didn't know what happened, but I knew I was crying. Then after she told me, I was now like, oh my god, what did I do? When I saw my dad in the morning, he didn't even act like anything happened. That was very, very embarrassing though. And I think that's the most memorable childhood experience I have.
My memorable childhood experience is it centers on the fact that at a very little age, when most of my age mates, we are still trying to cuddle along with the parents and the mom. I was not literally forced, but I was taken away to my grandmom because at that point she was just a lonely woman with no one to stay. So I was taken to her. So I stayed with her for definitely most of my year. Now then, it had created an impact in my life, making me what some of my age mates enjoyed then, like the childhood experience. And being for the fact that I was the last one, like most last ones like enjoy for being the last of the parents, I really didn't enjoy it. It was not even a regular kind of childhood experience. It was as if my parents were all dead before I was taken away, but then my parents were alive. It made me at some point, I wasn't, you understand, when you go to school, when you now start associating with people, and now people start telling stories of how good or how bad their siblings are, you'll be like, wow, who is my sibling? The old woman I've been staying with, she can't be my sibling, something like that. So it had a lot of challenges and influences on me.
I didn't really have a memorable childhood just like other people. There was nothing much, just that there was my cousin I was very close to, and we actually did a lot of things together. People actually thought we were twins at some point because we were always together. She was 3 years older, but because I had a big body, I looked her age, so most people didn't know she gave me such a difference, not quite much, but such a difference. Then she was a class above me. She was in a class above me. When I was in JS3, she was in JS2. And then growing up, she's this kid that knew how to dance, so a lot of people knew her. And where I stayed, many people actually wanted to, many kids actually wanted their parents to celebrate birthdays and all for them. So she was actually the spotlight or something, or the star, because whenever she went to the show, the party, she steals it with her moves and all. So she was loved by many, and she was good to many. She was just good. And then when I was in JS2, she was in JS3. That was when she was preparing for her junior WAEC. I came back from school as usual, and I went to her house to see her. And to my utmost surprise, she was down. She said she wasn't feeling fine. I asked her what the reason was. She said she was feeling pain in her leg. Her dad has a shop in the market, so she went to market with him and she got hit. A wheelbarrow actually hit her, and then she has been feeling that pain, and it actually got bad today. She didn't go to school, so I told her sorry, and I was just so pissed off because we couldn't go out, just like before we go out and vibe. So I was so pissed off. I kept on checking up on her throughout that week till on the Saturday evening. I came, she had still not gone to school, she was still not feeling fine. I gave her stuff I bought for her, hoping she would get well. And I actually told my mom about. My mom was like she would come see her, and then my mommy has been reluctant about going to see her. She thought it was a mere sickness or something. So Sunday around 2 a.m. her brother barged into our house shouting the sister wasn't breathing well and all. So my dad had to rush out with me to go see what was wrong with her. So before we even got to her house, she has already given up the ghost, Yeah, it's 9 years down the line and it hasn't been funny. Each time I remember and all, I still want to know what actually could. Many people actually said a lot of things. Some said it wasn't just the heat. Medically, she was okay, just the pain they were actually feeling on the leg. Some said it was diabolic, people have poisoned her, people have done this, done that. And I'm still wondering why would someone would want to poison a kid of just 13. So why would anyone want to kill her? Some said she ate poison and they just used the leg as a disguise. A lot of stories, and it wasn't just correlating because she just got sick that week and she died the same week. She died on the Sunday. So yeah, so keep on resting in peace. It's actually memorable and it hurts me a lot this time I remember it.
Growing up, I had a very loving family. I had 4 siblings plus me. So we have 5 kids in the family with whom I used to play a lot. I remember very fondly the games we used to play, especially in the evenings. We used to go out in the park with our sports equipment. Each day we play different games, for example, football on one day and other games on other days. So these memories of playing in the park are very dear to me. Furthermore, I remember clearly the aroma of my grandmother's egusi soup, because egusi soup was my favorite. It's still my favorite soup then. So I used to like the egusi soup my grandmother used to prepare. I used to help her whenever she made the egusi soup. We used to watch her do the magic of combining the oils, vegetables, the egusi, everything to make a very delicious egusi soup. Even today, I can sometimes smell her egusi soup whenever I look back at these memories. Then, most importantly, I remember this instance very clearly. I remember when we went out for a picnic with my family. We paid a visit to the zoo and had an incredible day. My mother packed some dishes which we ate in the zoo. My father took so many pictures that day. When I look at these pictures, the memory is so clear. It seems like it happened just yesterday. Those my childhood memories are very dear to me and make me smile when I feel low. Childhood memories shape our personality and future. They remind us of the good times and help us get by on tough days. Moreover, they remind us of past experiences and mistakes which help us improve ourselves. And then, in my opinion, a childhood memory most of us have in common is the first day of school. Most of us remember what it felt like on the first day. In addition, our birthdays are also very common childhood memories that remind us of gifts and celebrations on that day. So, this is what I can say about the few childhood. Of course, I had a lot of childhood experiences, but these are the ones that always keep me going when I remember them, and